Sorry about that, guys. Had an important phone call that was real fast. But as we're talking about exorcism, uh, this is another book I picked up, The Exorcist Handbook. Now, this book is a non-denominational book of how to approach somebody who's possessed and what to do about it. Now, the reason why I'm getting involved in all this stuff is because the same girl that came over and we had that demonic experience together, she herself believes that she's possessed. She told me a story about how in her younger days she was possessed, but her family wrote it off as mental illness. What I find fascinating here is that when her and I were having another follow up session, actually just a couple weeks ago, I started reading to her from the Roman ritual, and I wanted to see what would happen. And she told me stop, 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 but I kept going, and immediately her whole body had changed. Uh, she started snarling and growling like that, and her whole voice almost got deeper, and it was like a loud echoing call, like "No, come out!" And it was in this room actually where I keep the altar. Excuse me. I'll turn the camera so you guys can see the altar right here. This is where I have people come in and we do our seances, tarot card readings, whatever you want to call it, which I do all those cleansings. And she, with all her might, went like this and banged on the floor and started crawling on her legs, like an animal. And it took me to get on top of her and tell her to calm down, calm down. So I'm trying to figure out what I can do to help this person. Because look, my whole reason for getting involved with the paranormal and exorcism and ghost hunting is not to make a name for myself. It's not to get out there, and make money. No, I don't charge at all. What I do is I'm trying to help people. Because that's what a human being does. You have to show sympathy. You have to show an ounce of sympathy for this person. Because in the world that we live in, I'm speaking to you guys from the heart. The world that we live in this crazy world, we've been taught that anybody that's experiencing anything paranormal has got something wrong with them, that has something crazy with them. We can't just write all this stuff off as mental illness. That's what most people don't know about the Catholic Church is before they conduct an exorcism, they have to look into it. They have to make sure that it's not mental illness, that it's not, anything in that area, that it has to be legitimate. So that's what a paranormal investigator has to do. And at the same time, even if you're unsure that if it is real or not, you have to show sympathy. You have to feel bad for this person. Because why is this person going through this? Whether it be demonic or not, or paranormal in nature, why is this person going through this? And for society to say, oh, they got a mental issue, you can write it off. You can't do that. Even if they do have a mental issue, you have to show an ounce of sympathy because that's what a fucking human being does. And I don't mean to curse, but it pisses me off when people want to dismiss somebody about these claims. You know, my whole reason for doing this thing, hey, you're not alone. I'm here to help. I'm not here to make money. I'm here to help you. And that's what pisses me off about these, ghost hunter shows and all this crap. People are making money off this stuff. You're not supposed to do that. Thousands of years ago, the shaman in the village, he helped people. He did everything he did in his power with communicating to the spirits and carrying out cleansings. It was a service to the community. Maybe because he was a little crazy and the spirits talked to him a little bit, but he did not charge anything. He did as a service to everybody. And that's one thing we have to do. Is we're going to be paranormal hunters, ghost hunters, demonologists. We can't charge. We have to do it to help people, not make names for ourselves, not uh, do it for money. Because at the end of the day, the skeptics are going to use that against you. God bless Ed and Lorraine, but that was one of the things that they did. They made their living off this field. And as much as I respect them, as much as I admire them, as much as I love their work, you can't do that. You have to have another source of income. Because otherwise, people are going to say, "Oh, you're only doing this for money. You're only doing this to get your face out there." You get what I'm trying to say? And in their defense, Ed Warren did say, you know what? People say I'm in this for the money. People say I'm in this to get my name out there. People say I just want to be on TV. But you know what? It's not about the money. I do want to get my face out there. I do want to write books. You know why? The devil is real. The devil is real. His power can destroy people. Gotta respect his honesty though. Anyways, moving on. Speaking of which, I've been studying this Dictionary of Demons. This is a really fascinating book because it gives all the different names of demons that that have been recorded or talked about or mentioned in the Bible. Here's another wonderful book called Demons and Demonology. This one's a dictionary of demons, but it's also all the things that are associated with demonology. Here's a picture of The Exorcist. What's interesting about it, it's introduced by John Zaffis. John Zaffis was Ed and Lorraine Warren's nephew. And I have various fiction books I'm reading. Like I'm reading Richard Matheson's Hell House, which is one of my favorite haunted house books. It's really gruesome and really terrifying. It's sort of a sexier, darker outlook than Shirley Jackson's The Haunting of Hill House, which coincidentally is right here. I actually want to give it a reread because when I first read it, I didn't really care for it all that much. But it's a book that I think that's really grown on me because I read it when I was 24, and it just it didn't have much of an effect. But now I'm getting involved in all this, and I understand parapsychology and paranormal investigators. I think that it's worth rechecking. Then Scott Thomas did this book called Kill Creek, which is about horror writers inside a haunted house, which I think is truly fascinating. Because in my spare time, I write horror fiction, mainly ghost fiction. I can't tell. But anyways, this is going to be a fascinating read. But again, it's something that I want to reread again. Clive Barker did a wonderful book called Cold Heart Canyon, and his spin on this ghost story is that it's set in the Hollywood Hills. And being in Clive Barker fashion, he introduces all kinds of bizarre monsters and orgies and all that stuff. So it's a really, truly, truly interesting book that I want to reread. Ghost Story, Peter Straub's fantastic book about a group of elderly men who come. I don't want to give too much away. Let's just say someone from their past comes back to haunt them, and it's really, 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 really good. Again, this is another book that I want to reread because at the time I read it, I couldn't appreciate it. Now we're talking about demons and exorcisms. Of course, I have to go back and read this. This is a book, The Exorcist, that's helped me more than once understand what I believe in and what is out there. It's a book that whenever I feel lost in my faith or spiritualism, it always comes back and it always kind of helps me understand things more. And lastly, but not last, we have Ed and Lorraine Warren's The Demonologist. Now, this book I read over the summer, but I want to read it again because it's truly fascinating. It talks about, what a spirit wants and how, you can summon up these dark forces and how you shouldn't do it because it has repercussions later on. Like Ed Warren is quoted in this book by saying, here's a picture of it. Ed Warren is quoted in saying, when you summon up the demonic, it may not happen now. It may not happen next week. It may not happen next month. It may not happen next year. But it'll happen eventually. And when they show you they exist, they want something in return. And then I have various other books. I'll show you guys. I need to read Wasteland, which is history of horror and World War I, which I read before. I want to read again. The Devils of Ludendorff by Aldous Huxley. A lot of books about the Nazis and their obsession with the occult, spirit communication, food from the gods, Tibetan Book of the Dead. All these books right here have some kind of spiritual meaning to me. See, Clean Rites of the Curandero, Curandismo, Soul Revival, Lovecraft, and Rice. But see, one of the things that we're gonna mention real fast is that damn, where's I gonna go? Oh, I was gonna talk about. That's why I love you guys. I can just zone out like that. Huh? What? um, there's an interesting book Ed and Lorraine Warren did. I have another pile over there, over here on this side, called Werewolf. And immediately everybody rolled their eyes. Oh, they're talking about a werewolf now, blah blah. But what it was a really gripping account of how a man was possessed by a demon that made him into a werewolf. You can write it off as mental illness if you want, but when you read about it and hear the man talk about it in the video, they did an interview with him. His name was Ramsey. I forget his first name, and he was a 5 foot something guy, and he grew the strength of a wild beast and was throwing 200-pound officers off of him and all this stuff. So the supernatural is a very tricky thing. And there's a lot of it we can write off, and there's a lot of it we can't write off. You get what I'm trying to say here? Here's the thing about vampires. Now, we all know that emotional vampires do exist. That's a given. But there is a dark thing about vampires. But I'm not going to get into it now. We'll get into it later. Because it's a very long thing to talk about. So I want to keep this short. I already went on a long rant about ghosts and being a paranormal investigator. So I want to get into tarot cards here in a minute. Alright, so what I wanted to do is show you guys two decks that I have. So first off, I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to show you this deck. That's a nice bag I keep. Now this is the Something Worth Tarot card deck. This deck I hold really special because it was my first one. Now tarot cards are a very interesting thing. Because they can show your past, present, and your future. But it's mainly about what you can do to avoid upcoming catastrophes or where you will be in the next few days. It's not. I guess you could say it's kind of like fortune telling, but it's a little bit more than that because it reads your energy. Now I've had some really good accurate readings and given some really good accurate readings, but this is a deck that I hold pretty close because, like I said, it was my first one. So what I'm gonna do now is lower it so you guys can see. Okay, we go. Watch. Now let's see a little bit. There we go. Perfect. So I'm gonna show you guys some cards here. See, these are cards that I like a lot. Because some of these cards speak to me in different ways. This one usually, when I get this one, I know a catastrophe is going to happen. That one's interesting. This one usually represents a cycle. It's complete, and that good luck's coming your way. I like that one a lot. Now this card looks like my ex-wife a little bit in the face and the hair. That one's really nice. Show the camera. This one usually represents something good, like a rebirth. Now I had an interesting friend when we were doing a tarot card reading. She told me about how she threw a golden moth into the coffin of her brother's ex-girlfriend who committed suicide. And when she was saying that, she was trying to pick out her card, and this one popped up, so it really scared her. That's a nice one. Now this one speaks to me on multiple levels. A lot of these I like because, I like skeletons and I like things of dark nature, but a lot of it has to do with my heritage. Now these are all just different ones. But anyways, so I wanted to show you guys that deck. And it works. I recommend it, especially if you're someone that's new to tarot cards. I'd say get that one. We're going to move on now to the oracle cards. Now, oracle cards are like tarot cards, but there's only a few, like I want to say 32. And they read your energy on a much deeper level. This is the Santa Muerte tarot card. They read your energy on a much deeper level. And what's interesting about these ones, they form a Ouija board when they're all put together. Now, I've never done it like that, but I want to try it like that. I'll show you this. Which one's interesting? I like a lot. This one I like a lot. Because it shows, that our soul lives on. Let's see. This one I like a lot because this was the Aztec god of the underworld, which Santa Muerte derives from both, I'll show you guys another one. Now, I had a relative who said she saw something like this in a dream one time. Now, multiple people I know who've had near-death experiences say they see something similar like this, that purple color like that. When I had my first experience with acid, I saw something similar like that. This one I like a lot because, like I said, it's my heritage. It speaks to me on a lot of levels. Because when tarot cards, that's why you always have to get tarot cards that speak to you. Speak to your identity culturally and spiritually. Like I know, like ever since I started tarot cards, I really identified with my Aztec heritage more than I ever thought I would. Santa Muerte derives from this one too, Motorechuti. See, I like this one a lot. Darkness, because I have a dark soul. It's both good and bad thing. And sometimes when I look at this, I feel that I'm being consumed by it. This card I like a lot because when I was giving myself this oracle reading, it's basically saying you in this world looking at your past, your parents, your grandparents, and your ancestors. So that mirror is saying that you're looking at yourself and you can see them through yourself. So when I had this, when I was doing this card reading, when I first got these and I looked at this card, I can feel the presence and voices of my ancestors, talk to me. That one's interesting. Sorry about the light's getting in these cards. But it's all about how you perceive things. Like it's all, and not only that, but I also, when I get my cards, I like to bless them. There's a certain prayer that I know, uh, and I sprinkle holy water. Because I'll show you guys another video. You can make your own holy water. Anybody can do it. You don't have to go to a priest for it. Anyways, so the new deck that I have that I've been using a lot, working on a lot, it's actually really, really cool. When I got it, I sprayed holy water on it to make sure that it works perfect. And I'll tell you what, I've gotten some of the best readings in my life from this deck. And I think a lot of it has to do because I blessed it. And this is the Edgar Allan Poe deck. Yeah, okay. This is a really cool deck. It's really interesting. See, I'll zoom in on it. Oh, if the camera dies, guys, I'm sorry. The battery's real low. Okay, so I'll do my best to continue this video.